Welcome to Game Theory, the thickest show in gaming. That's thick with 4 C's.
Students were given one of 3 colored numbers, red, green, or black, and then asked to take a simple test. Those with the red numbers scored more than 20% lower than those presented with either the green or black numbers. That is a huge difference, all from witnessing a different color prior to taking the test. On the complete other end of the spectrum, colors like blue have shown themselves to have a calming effect on people. Some studies have even shown that looking at the color blue literally release endorphins that help you physically calm down. All of these very real effects happening simply by looking at different colors. So, given that science has proven time and again that we have both physical and mental reactions to color, how can we use this knowledge to our advantage in a game like Among Us?
Threatened to put fans in my office.
I think there already is one.
And just using their life force and getting someone's hand shoved where the sun don't shine. Like Zelda, except, you know, animatronic murder themed. Dog is absolutely your father. Seriously, I should start an asylum for the criminally You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Son Goku, Kakarot himself, is confirmed for Smash Bros. Ultimate.
No, hear me out. Hear me out now. What if Shadow Bonnie is actually Darkiplier, because they're both shadow people from the Shadow universe, which probably means that Yu-Gi-Oh's involved too, which would make it a film theory. You laugh. You laugh. But it could be a real thing. It makes sense. It makes so much sense.
What now?
Nope, I'm out. Music Man? Music Man?
Cups upside down with a treat in one, and you pointed to the one with the treat in it, dogs will use that cue to turn over the cup that you pointed to. Chimps, meanwhile, will ignore that clue completely, and this is where it appears that dogs are more intelligent than monkeys. On top of that, dogs are also better able to read facial expressions than a monkey, so dogs aren't stupid. In fact, far from it. They're using inferential reasoning and emotional intelligence far more than our monkey predecessors. So really, in the end, the bluey post-apocalypse, why your potholes are so bad. It's a bunch of us YouTubers stealing pieces of your roadway for our edutainment YouTube videos.
Come to Papa! Once I get through this door!
Giant purple elephant is outside the room and it's coming to eat our nuts. Escape the circus.
It's what?
Sometimes I just want to bury my head in my hands and scream. Both birds. 2 wings, 2 feet, 1 beak, all evil. Crying child? But no, that's happy child. And that's angry child, and that's confused child. That's apathetic child. That is passionate child. Nope, not that one. Born amongst men and set to live as a human. Red plus blue. And in Pomni, inside a VR office, which is inside yet another VR office, inside of a VR headset, inside of a theory, which is a video online. Theoretically, a piece of lonsdaleite with a perfect hexagonal lattice would be up to 58% harder than diamond. The big asterisk here, though, is that the lonsdaleite fragments that we've recovered so far have just a lot of impurities, and as a result, only measure around 7 to 8 on the Mohs hardness scale. But in its pure form, lonsdaleite is basically diamond plus. They're both essentially the same material, carbon, just subjected to different levels of heat and pressure. And the fact that it's so similar to an actual diamond makes it a fascinating parallel to netherite. Psychiatric problems in the past, and then all of a sudden, his family is just a bunch of barnyard animals.
Up. One of these Oreos, they're so thin. Like, I know that there are Oreo thins, but like these guys, it's like I'm eating a chocolate wafer and there's maybe a fraction of cream in there. And then I open up Double Stuff and I'm like, oh, look at that thick layer of cream in there. I want that thickness inside my body. His life ended with no suffering.
No, you don't. This is my incredible audience data and you can't touch it. Bad researcher, no. Throw my star rod at you. Follow the missing Foxy, my friends. Follow the Foxy. Whoever says science isn't fun hasn't learned about frictional force equations. Am I right? Up top. Where all my math and science nerds at? Up top. Okay. Most famous accidental lobotomy in history, Phineas Gage, who literally had an iron rod shot straight through his head, completely destroying his left frontal lobe. One of the most striking differences between pre-pole Phineas and post-pole Phineas was his sense of inhibition. And by that I mean post-pole Phineas had none. He had no sense of caution, no sense of fear or self-consciousness. He was described to be impulsive to the point of being rude and vulgar in public. No fear, no anxiety, anxiety, no social pressure anywhere. Going back to the experience an epic world where everything is epic. See that town over there? Epic. See that dragon? Epic. The combat? Epic. That stick? Epic. King Midas was this super wealthy guy who was obsessed with gold. One day he does a favor for the god of wine Dionysus, who thanks him by granting Midas one wish. The king wishes that everything he touched turned to gold. Dionysus is like, "You sure, bro?" And Midas is like, "What could possibly go wrong?" The next day, Midas quickly learns what could possibly go wrong when he accidentally turns his food, drinks, and even his daughter to solid gold. Midas is sad. Dionysus is like, "You dumb," gets Midas to bathe in a river to reverse his wish, and Midas becomes really generous to the people of his kingdom. It is a great little story about how greed can blind us and how having all the earthly riches we desire could actually be a curse. Also, just a good story about thinking about your damn wishes before you make them. Anyway, back in Hermitcraft, now I have your attention, and probably the attention of a few international governments that I don't want the attention of.
What's going on here? Why are all these clothes in here?
I'm down here a lot, and so I just started storing one shirt, and then one shirt led to another shirt, and they just started to multiply. And then there were just a ton of shirts all hanging on racks, and suddenly I was in a closet all over again. Stephanie, you never leave the closet, Stephanie. The closet never leaves you. I have a problem.
When it comes to religion, 23 is an even bigger deal. You see, in the Islamic faith, there's the Quran. It's the Islamic sacred book, just like Christians have themselves the Bible and Judaism has the Torah. The Quran is believed to be the word of God as dictated to the Prophet Muhammad. And it took, get this, 23 years for the entire book to be revealed to Muhammad. It's also Muslim belief that the first verses of the Quran were revealed to the Prophet Muhammad on the 23rd night of the 9th Islamic month. So again, in the Islamic faith, the number 23 matters a lot, meaning that those 23 pillars in the Minecraft Ocean Monument,
Leave them alone! This is my restaurant!
Done on the traits kids inherit from their parents, sons tend to inherit more traits from their mother. Daughters tend to show more balanced heritability. And the parts of the face that are the most handed down are the tip of the nose, as well as the area just below it known as the philtrum. And wouldn't you know it, dreams
like someone finally got a piece of that cake, if you know what I'm saying. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Blow, chicka, blow, blow.
Let's get it on.
From downtown!
Humans are able to process more shades of green than any other color, but not all greens are created equally. When you break down our biological sensitivity to light, our eyes work best at the light wavelength of 555 nanometers. That means that under normal lighting conditions, our eyes are most sensitive to a yellowish green color. In other words, during an emergence, biological detour up because it brings up an interesting point about the animal kingdom. The larger an animal species is, the more likely it is to favor quality of offspring over quantity of offspring. Smaller animals like insects, rabbits, and birds can afford to have a lot of babies at once, while larger species like whales, elephants, and rhinos are much slower to reproduce. The Ender drag space, there's no air. That means that in space, there's no oxygen floating around to be a part of your combustion reaction. So how do you get a combustion reaction in the vacuum of space? Well, one answer is to bring along your own oxygen in liquid form. That's what was used by the Aerojet Rocketdyne RS-25 engine that was used on the NASA space shuttle. Though that—
We're gonna burn for this.
Cool. Looks like I brought the right tool for the job then. Picture of a sloth. Oh, he's such a cutie. Oh, look at this guy. All right, back to crack.
This character is so twisted that it might be something he does.
Boop. I just want to boop your nose.
He's gonna like poke your nose with his like little hand.
Over and over and over again. Okay. Boop. What's this for me? Shh. A booped nose. That's all the payment you need. Boop.
I'm scared.
the last of Yellowstone National Park's wolf packs were killed off by employees, all as a part of an effort to reduce danger to humans that might be camping there. Good job, humans! Way to punish animals for the problems that we ourselves create. However, this set off a chain reaction of unintended consequences. By removing an apex predator from the ecosystem, suddenly the elk population exploded inside the park, and they began to overgraze. This then damaged the population of trees, which in turn lowered the number of birds that the area could support. It also made made it so beavers were unable to properly build their dams, which caused higher levels of soil erosion along the riverbanks. The erosion and overgrazing impacted the plant life near the river that shaded the water, which combined with the lack of beaver dams raised the water temperature beyond what the local fish could tolerate. The ecosystem was in a death spin. The only thing to stop the downward spiral was a reintroduction of wolves back into the ecosystem. And this is what I suspect happened between Minecraft done.
The Kaaba is a black cube building at the center of Islam's most important mosque, the Great Mosque of Mecca. It is the most important place in the Islamic faith. So important that practitioners of Islam are almost required to take a pilgrimage to see this once in their life and give worship there. Why? Well, it's thought that the Kaaba is the house of God, the sacred house, the connection between heaven and the earth. The Kaaba is a sacred place with an inside of gold and marble, but on the outside, it appears to just be a large black cube of dark granite, just like we see in the game with the dark prismarine. The rule of thumb, the average male height of a human being is 5 foot 6 inches tall, 1.67 meters. The average female is 5'2" or 1.57 meters. Our crewmates in Among Us, over 7 endings, tons of secrets, hidden lore, and the constant threat of bodily harm to those under the age of 12. It is no wonder this game grabbed our attention. I, for one, like the eggs. They tasty.
In a former life, I studied neuroscience, and one of the labs that I worked in did experiments using these sorts of EEG caps, or electroencephalography caps. Basically, these caps are networks of electrodes placed at specific locations around the head, all reading electrical signals that are passing from one section of the brain to the next. No joke, in the experiment that I worked on, I could read what a person's brain was thinking before they themselves realized it. Now, obviously, I'm talking about very rudimentary signals here, but in theory, in neurological theory, I was taking a person's thoughts and I was putting them into a computer via these electrical signals. This could be an explanation for the Amanda.
It's an automobile? Sorry, you're out of luck until Legend of Zelda Enchanted Jetliner. God, what have I done? So many big-brained, tiny-skulled theorists out there.
North America, meanwhile, with its lack of densely populated cities, stood in stark contrast, and hence the indigenous people of North America had no plagues. All of that is a fascinating and
My friends, in order to do that, we have to get cheaper.
Cheaper than my 11-year-old shoe?
Cheaper!
Cheaper than my landlord?
Cheaper!
Cheaper than you when I ask for more production equipment?
Cheaper! And you don't need those supplies.
Cheaper than my dad?
Cheaper than that still! My friends, if you want to make a castle that large using that small amount of money, we're gonna have to do something extreme. We're gonna have to get toe dead cheap.
get around to me being impregnated by a video game and giving birth to a baby rabbit and
Hey, I'm a goose. Take a gander at me, your new MC, flying free, cutting your bush and spilling your tea. But that's not what I mean. I just want to bury my head in my hands and scream. The Muppets have been around for decades and didn't ever start kidnapping and possessing humans, or at least they did a better job of covering it up. Fact that Little Mac over here, who literally cannot recover to save his life, is somehow able to escape the tallest pit in the game faster than you could say Final Destination, no items.
Matpat is a natural thermite grenade maker.
Let's not spread the word about that one too widely, shall we?
This isn't just any move, my friends. It is a move that is faster than Sonic. It is stronger than Ganondorf. A move that is so brutal and violent that it takes Garplane and suddenly transforms it into Goreplane. Where all the best theories begin. Dabbing Chica. Everyone's favorite rhombohedron has a scary little secret inside of it. And no, I'm not referring to this guy's penis.
It's basically acting like a vacuum, sucking in everything around him to create, no joke, a giant 15-foot tall trash wrap.
Behalf. Thanks, smiley
Aggressive
face.
Smiley face.
Smiley face, slightly blushing. I'll catch up with you some other time. And don't overdo it. Watch your calories.
Don't you tell me how many calories I need.
It's about 6 times hotter than the surface of the sun. And so what happens when you heat water really quickly in an enclosed space? Well, it turns into a gas and expands. It needs a place to go in a hurry. In an instant, the pressure inside the tree builds until finally the gas pushes so hard that the bark can't handle it anymore, causing the tree to literally explode. Wood and splinters are sent flying everywhere, as if we didn't need more reasons to stay indoors playing video games. Now, these splinters aren't exactly homing missiles, but it does show that tree plus water plus electricity does result in flying plant projectiles that can do some serious damage on impact. On Genshin Impact! Fine half of God, heaven, and his red represents the blood, mankind. So in Jesus, you have the mixing of these two elements. A god born amongst men and set to live as a human, red plus blue. And in Pomni, Blizz Hojo Quovlo Kroll Buckle